Hello everyone, welcome to our video. My name is Wesley Rogers. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm one of the area coordinators. I serve in the sophomore area.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chad Moore, and I'm also one of the area coordinators. I use he, him pronouns, and I'll be working with the junior and senior areas primarily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess Montecalvo. As you might have guessed, I'm another area coordinator. I use they or he pronouns, and I work with the first year area group.
Today we're going to be talking about strategies for living well with a roommate. This video is very important, and we care deeply about your experience here at Holy Cross and making sure that you feel comfortable where you live. So listen in for some keys to a good roommate experience. I'm going to hand it off to Chad.
Yeah, so I think one of the most important things to having a good roommate experience, and it might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but is actually to start with yourself and to make sure that you know yourself and know what you need, and to think about what it will take for you to articulate those needs and desires to your roommate. So one of the first things that you can do to really help build a good foundation for a happy living relationship with your roommate is to take an honest self-inventory and to think about what you need, and then to also prepare yourself and to think about a good way to respectfully articulate those needs to your roommate. And if you can do that, you'll be setting yourself up for success. And a corollary to that, the other side of the coin, is to get to know your roommate as well, and to sort of recognize that they're probably going through the same process that you are. And it'll be helpful to set aside some intentional time with your roommate to listen to each other's needs and preferences. And when you're having these kinds of conversations, sometimes you can worry that it might be a little bit awkward to talk about, like, hey, it really bothers me if you are playing music on your phone after 10 because I really need to sleep, or whatever it may, these kinds of conversations might be something a little bit personal about you that living with another person, you'll have to negotiate, or it might just be something that you are nervous they're going to be annoyed with. But those kinds of concerns and worries about awkwardness, while totally, totally normal and natural to be worried, we have to have the courage to push through those things. And building up the habit of having good, open, honest conversations about these kinds of issues will make your life living together in this room much better over the long run. So after you've done these kinds of things and have a sense of what you need and what your roommate needs, it'll be time to make a plan. So Wesley's going to talk to us about that.
Thanks, Chad. Like Chad said, it's so important to know yourself and know your roommate. And then we believe that out of that comes the ability to create a plan for a healthy living situation with you and your roommate. So at Holy Cross, we have what is called a roommate agreement process. And in many ways, the roommate agreement process is similar to a formal contract in some ways. But this is a contract that you and your roommate or roommates will design for yourself. You're going to go over a plethora of topics through this agreement, and you'll talk through them together, and then you'll talk through them with your RA. Some of the topics that you might cover in that is, your preference on how much alone time you need, your preference on your belongings, and what does it look like to share what your stuff is with the person that you live with, your personal space needs, guests that you might have in and out of your room, some things like substance use, cleaning and chores, technology courtesies, and your plans for a virtual class. There are also many other topics that I won't just list off for you, but you'll see in the process of creating this contract. And like Chad said, at first this can sound really awkward and intimidating, but we really believe that by spelling it out together and communicating the needs that you have and the needs that your roommate might have, you're going to come to a healthier living arrangement that will allow you to get the most out of your time at Holy Cross. One thing that we do want to ask you to specifically talk about this year is the importance of the COVID policy and safety concerns that you might have with your roommate in this process. Obviously, there is some risk that is naturally going to happen with coming back to campus, and we are doing our best to mitigate all those risks. But one of the ways that you can take this and be part of that decision making is to talk with your roommate about things like, are we going to have guests in our room this year? Are we going to spend a lot of time going out on the weekends? Or are we going to be, spending time more just the two of us in here? There'll be some of those things that you'll talk through. And we ask you to take it very seriously and to consider your own personal health, your roommate's health, as well as the community's health overall at Holy Cross. Through this process, you'll talk through it with your roommate, and then you'll get an opportunity to talk through it with your RA, which up next, we're going to talk with Jess about the check-in process and the roommate mediation process.
Cool. Thanks, Wesley. So yeah, I think we like to think about this roommate agreement sort of process as really a living document. And what that means is you're not just doing this one time when you move in together and never thinking about it or talking about it after that. That sort of defeats the purpose. Really what we want folks to be doing is checking in often about how the expectations that you both set together are going, what needs to change, what isn't working, and starting that early, making that a normal, typical practice for you and your roommate means that rather than letting things sort of simmer and boil when things get frustrated and then explode, you're talking about things and working through things in mature ways so that you're both working on improving your living environment and space together collaboratively. Living with people is hard, especially a new person, and there's always going to be, small bumps in that process. But by checking in with each other and having open and honest conversations, you'll sort of help those sort of rough moments be a little smoother as the semester goes on. And if something isn't working, that's okay. You can always go to your RA to talk through what's coming up. And it doesn't just have to be when it's been 3 months of awful and you can't stand each other. If you're having an issue with your roommate, go and talk to your RA. Even if it's just to talk through what's going on and brainstorm how to approach that conversation with your roommate. The mediation process, as I'm going to talk a little bit about in a second, isn't a punitive process at all. We want to make sure that's really clear. Mediation is purely on community building and relationship building. And what it essentially is your RA sort of helping to guide a conversation between you and your roommate so that you can work through whatever conflicts are coming up with sort of a third party who can ask questions, listen openly, and provide help and supportive feedback so that you and your roommate can improve that process. RAs are always happy to be a support for you all in whatever way works best for you, and they'll challenge you to engage in conversations with your residents. They're not there to do all the work. They're not there to grant every room change under the sun. What they are there to do is help your community, help you as an individual to have the skills and knowledge to engage in what feels like difficult and maybe sometimes awkward conversations about personal needs in your living spaces. And then last up, we have Chad, who's going to sort of wrap up our conversation for the day.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, at the end here, we just want to reiterate that we really believe that living in community with others is a really important part of your college experience here. And learning to have these sometimes awkward conversations, or just learning to listen to people who might live around you, whose life experiences, whose perspectives on the world are different than yours, can be a really formative experience and a time for growth. And so as you're living in the halls, we just want to remind you about the importance of self-advocacy and clear communication. If there's something going wrong in your room or on your hall, let us know. We're happy to help with that. And also remember that your RA is there to advocate for you. They're not just here to enforce the rules or monitor policy. They are really here to be an advocate and to be a source of support and community within your hall. So we really encourage you to reach out to them. And in the meantime, if there's anything that you need, questions you have about the upcoming semester, or as you arrive on campus, if there's issues that arise, let us know. You can feel free to contact us at the phone number on the screen or the email, or you can stop by the office in Hogan 122 and say hi to Raquel, who will be there at the front desk to greet you. So thank you. We look forward to having you all back on campus, and we look forward to the great relationships that you'll build with each other and with our RA staff. Thanks, everybody.